you live in the Denver suburb of Centennial, Colorado, there's a pretty good chance you're going to hear from this man in 2011. His name is Brian Brainerd. He owns a company called US Weatherizing, and his goal is to bring more efficiency to the process of making homes more energy efficient by targeting entire neighborhoods at a time for energy improvements. And he plans to start in Centennial. Actually, Brian had hoped to be out talking to neighborhoods before now, but he realized that there weren't enough contractors trained to do the kind of air sealing and other energy improvement work that will need to be done if he can convince a lot of homeowners at once to make improvements to their homes. Improvements, by the way, that are going to save them money and make their homes more comfortable. So with some funding from the Colorado Governor's Energy Office, Brian spent much of 2010 training contractors to do the kind of energy improvement work that he hopes will need to be done soon. He has funding, in fact, to continue that training through June of 2011. I'll let Brian take it from here.
We're very focused on training insulation contractors to do effective air sealing prior to adding additional insulation. The reason air sealing is so important is that it has to be done before you add additional insulation, or it's a missed opportunity. We're doing this by teaching contractors how to do air sealing to existing homes, and then we're going to reach out to neighborhoods and teach them about the opportunities to save energy by sealing all those holes in your building.
So what's this air sealing that Brian keeps talking about? Why is it important, and why do you need to do it before you add more insulation to your house? Well, here's an analogy that Brian likes to use. Those of us who live in Colorado know that a good fleece will keep you pretty warm even on a cold day, as long as there's no wind. If there's wind out, then you also need one of these, a windproof shell to keep the wind from blowing through the fleece and getting you cold. It works just like the fleece and the shell, except it works in reverse order, because I put my fleece on first, then put my shell on outside. With the air sealing, you put the air sealing on first, and then put the insulation on after that. I sat in on one of Brian's classes recently. Here's a little bit of what I saw.
And this is an example of why we're most concerned about the holes that are high and the holes that are low. You know, and this really shows the air bypasses underneath the finished attic, your knee walls located against the attic space. And then, you know, the usual suspects, you know, we have the attic hatch, we have the wiring holes. The drop soffits are a major point of contention as well. We need to have an air barrier across in line with the plane.
Flues and everything.
Yeah. And so now when you create a chase that runs from the basement to the attic, that's the second best chimney in the house.
Exactly.
The best one is the actual chimney. But you're also competing, you know, when you have an unintentional chimney, now you're competing with the other draft appliances. So our top priority, for a couple of reasons, is focused on the holes in the top of the building. This is a mock-up of what the typical things we'd find. We've got a chase, we've got top plates, we've got a junction box, we have a recessed light, we have a duct boot.
What do we call that?
Dead air.
That knot hole?
Is that a leak?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, and this whole edge is a leak.
Now, am I supposed to be artistic and not have the tip touch the surface, or should I be holding it off?
I think that's a good one.
And not being
That's nice and neat.
Yeah.
Right, not too much, and you're in the gap, so it's filling the gap and not just sitting on top. But this aluminum is really great to work with. You see how flat it rolls out. Measure my cut. Easy to cut. FSK is the abbreviation for this tape.
I have to give credit to Dennis Brockfeld for developing this particular top hat. Okay. These light fixtures are not always dead center in the middle of the framing. Make a slot for the wire. Set it in place.
Why did Brian pick Centennial to begin his campaign to make homes more energy efficient, a whole neighborhood at a time? I'll let him explain that.
Centennial houses have a lot of opportunity to save energy through cost-effective air sealing because the houses are large and have a lot of interesting architectural details. It's all those interesting architectural details such as recessed lighting, drop soffits, fireplaces, all have an energy cost to them. The plan is to reach out through homeowners associations and just offer educational sessions about what air sealing can do as a first step to energy efficiency. It's one of the highest return on your investments, typically pays you back in about 2 years. What we can tell by looking at the exterior of a house is how great of an opportunity there is to save energy through air sealing the building. And the people that can gain the most are people with beautiful big houses, because all of those beautiful features that the houses have are where your energy leaks out. So for example, with this house behind me, we have a chimney, and so that's a chimney that has a fireplace insert, and that insert is not air sealed because of the year this house was built. That was not a factor in the construction. On the left side of that building is a cantilever, and where that cantilever overhangs the outside of the building, typically they didn't even insulate underneath the floor. And if they did, they probably did not put an air stop in there, and so the air can flow from outside of the building right into the house.